All right. So, a few more observations that need to be clarified, rectified, and as well as clarification of symbology or symbolatry. And yes, that white rabbit. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so yesterday my husband came home because there's a break in between his loads, and so his truckload. So he came home, and I'm just like looking at some of these crime watch groups, and all these accidents are going on. I'm hearing the sirens, and it was really hot and bright yesterday, like really bright yesterday. And I felt the energy, but no big deal. But I knew that I had to go and get into my truck because we got the truck fixed, the window fixed from that hoodlum. And I just was like so aware on the road, like so aware. And I got there pretty quickly actually to, and picked him up, and my husband finally, he watched the Leave the World Behind, because that TikTok video was talking about those deer that were standing stock still. And how do you get animals and humans to be stock still and not move or move? Well, it's all frequency. That's why all these different names of the COVID was based on frequency. And then, of course, you hold that mycoplasma inside that mimics whatever's going on. And then you also developed a demon against you, okay, through all the remedies and everything. So, yeah. And so anyway, so every animal, every human lives on a specific frequency, and then even every cell or every organ and every system in your body also works on a specific frequency. And yeah, the system already mapped out everything in the genome. They mapped out all the frequencies. Now it's just playing chess. So anyway, so he watched that, and I actually fell asleep because he made me meatloaf last night for dinner when he came home. So sweet of him. Oh my gosh. And then we watched that movie, and I fell asleep. Like I every single time now when my husband comes home, okay, yeah, I'm purified when you think about it. Like I release those demons every single time he leaves, and then he comes home, the demons come back. Why is it? Because I'm taking on somebody else's information, and my body has to go and deal with it and release the demons. And so every single time now, I snore even when I'm on my own. But when we were watching that movie, I was snoring because I fell asleep. Yeah, first I had food, then exposed to my husband's microbes. My body has to go through that process. And then this morning, oh my God. Like I was blowing my nose this morning, but releasing that demon of poop, I'm telling you, it's the poop. I swear to God, it is. It would just not stop ending. I just kept pooping and pooping and pooping and poop. It was just crazy, freaking crazy. I'm like, I didn't know how I had that much up in there. But overnight, when I'm exposed to a new world, like my husband is a new world, okay, my body has to go through that process of assimilating. So taking on whatever gifts that he has, and I can't be the one to determine what kind of gifts he has to give me. So I let my immune system go through that process, and then my body goes through and releases those demons, like through either blowing my nose and then also pooping a lot. And so now I've isolated that. Yes, my husband did bring up the hives, not because there's anything wrong with him. It's because he's just a new entity. He has microbes like everybody does. Like even when my dog, when she was alive, and we had somebody come in, a phlebotomist come in, take blood for a policy that we have. And my dog was just looking at her as if she could see the aura in that person. This is a couple years ago. This is around 2020, 2021. And I'm just like, wow. So my dog was like, with the, seeing that aura of ectoplasm and reacting to it. Every single time I go out there and hang out with a bunch of people, I blow up with so much of that offspring, because no matter how I don't know, no matter how many people that you're hanging out with, you are breathing in all the aerosolized ectoplasm. You're breathing in all the microbes. And in this highly activated environment, it causes offspring, even in you, it causes an immune system response. That's why, I don't understand. I mean, I get preemptive strikes. I get preemptive stuff through the therapies, the public health therapies, but there's no guarantee that it's going to work. And I don't know what the hell work means anyways, when you think about it, because when you're going out there in public, you're getting a payload of that stuff. You're getting a payload of all the different microbes that people hold inside. And yeah, you already got a preemptive of it. And maybe you develop antibodies or recognition. So when you go out there, your body fights up. But still, you should be able to develop your own. But hey, that's people who are immunocompromised need help, obviously. But it's how you release those demons. And it's when you release those demons. And it's everything else as far as your immune system functions. And all the 12, 11 different systems that you have. And so no matter what people do as far as the therapies market, if you're already needing a therapy, it's not going to matter what you do. You already have dysfunctions. You already have predispositions. You already have so many issues. And so that's why in this environment, people will make correlation equals causation, because already I know how aggressive the frequencies are. I already see so many accidents. I already feel it within myself. And it's like, just because you took a therapy, regardless of what it is, or ate a food, or did jelly juice, something in the environment was going to trigger it anyways. And you can't always blame the last thing that a person did, but people do, because that's what they were trained to do, was to lay blame and scapegoat, because that was the Hitler mentality that we all were raised with and told to practice. Blame something, blame a person, place, or thing for whatever. So I'm just going to go from the top to the bottom. Okay. And so, well, sort of. I mean, I posted last night about China. So there's this guy that is paying attention, to Fox News and to other news outlets, letting us know what's to come as far as war and potential terrorism. And then, of course, watching that movie, Leave the World Behind. And so when you bring all of these together, the system wanted you to finally look at the movies. But people had that, well, the system didn't want you to really look at the movies until they wanted you to look at the movies. Okay. At first, they were like, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, even 5 years ago, like, oh, it's all make-believe. It's all somebody's imagination. It's all fiction, right? And that was even what my mom said, don't believe the movies. Don't believe what you see on TV. Don't believe anything. Well, she said believe what you see on TV as far as the news, but don't believe the movies. But now the system is merging. We don't have so much of we had reality shows. So we had the fiction, we had then the reality shows that were scripted, and now we are merging into the actual reality shows of people. And so now the system is mirroring what's going on out there in the environment and in our community onto the movies. And so now they're trying to tell you stuff. And even when those are in the conspiracy realm, they're like, oh, the Illuminati, all the symbolatry, look at that. The whole one-eyed and the whole this and everything like that, right? And the pyramid and the Eye of Ra, and then all the models, and everyone thinks everyone's transgender. I still laugh at those who think that Hollywood is full of transgenders. It's called hormones. You were programmed, women were, especially in Hollywood, programmed to be highly estrogenic, just like me. I was highly estrogenic as a young girl. In my teens, in my 20s, and even in my 30s, that started fading in my 40s. Okay? But I was highly estrogenic, completely hot, soft, hot, sexual, obviously. A lot of women in Hollywood who have been programmed to be playing a certain part, like a hot chick. Okay? Well, yeah, they were really beautiful and so gorgeous and highly sexual. And then as the programming breaks down, then the testosterone comes to surface. So they look a bit more manly. I still laugh at those who think everyone's fucking transgender out there. That they all are men out there. I mean, come on. You got to have a little bit of an ounce of logic here that it's all hormones. Okay? Because even out in the population, there are women that were highly hot and soft and cute. And then as they get older, in their 50s and 60s, they have a bit more matronly appearance, manly appearance, not because they were men, because the hormones are breaking down. The estrogen's disappearing, testosterone's kicking in, and there you go. But it's so funny. So anyway, so the whole Illuminati shit, that all of that, all of that was coming to surface, and they were trying to tell you stuff through that Illuminati stuff. And now you're seeing P. Diddy. Like, I was watching very briefly a video of somebody going through Cassie's claims. And she was one of P. Diddy's, alleged victims, that he settled with her very quickly. But she made some claims that he did so many things to her. And believe me, I read all that the last 12 years. When I went down those rabbit holes of the Illuminati and what even the Black Bully, which is another, I guess, version of the Illuminati, in the music industry. And when I'm hearing what he did to her and all the things that you hear allegedly that's going on with Will Smith and allegedly and P. Diddy and other people. I mean, you hear about Jay-Z potentially. And then I'm like thinking, this isn't like just the higher ups. These are your peers. Yeah, some of your peers make a lot of money. But you have peers in your neighborhood that have some pretty aggressively atrocious, torturous, sexual proclivities. It doesn't always just happen in the music industry or in high levels of government. This is also in your community. There are men out there that will play I'm the whole defender, but are also very predatory. Like, very predatory. And allegedly, P. Diddy is a representation of a lot of men out there, as well as women, who are extremely predatory sexually. So that's why I say what I say about what the system, about what we shouldn't be enslaving our young girls and forcing them into marriage and having children and forcing them into relationships, even if they are non-binary. Why would you enslave a girl or tell her that that's what she's supposed to do? Or even a guy, that you're supposed to be paired up with somebody. And if she happens or he happens to be more estrogenic than testosterone, then you know how that's going to play out. Someone's going to be the giver, someone's going to be the taker, and both of them are feeding off each other, and will see relative to where you come in as far as your substance. The giver could lose so much substance. What do you mean the giver? Well, the top. I mean, if you want to talk about those type of things, the top, the giver will give so much that they deplete themselves, and the person who takes it will take so much that whatever the person is giving them will eat them out from the inside, and so they both cannibalize each other. And so that's why I'm really careful, even with my husband. I don't want him to lose himself through sexuality. I don't want to lose myself through sexuality. So that's why I'm coming from this point of view. So you understand why I take these certain perspectives around girls and women and boys being forced into these traditional institutions that are now archaic and aggressive and deadly. Fucking deadly. Okay? And so when Audrey and I were going back and forth yesterday, and I finally figured out, when I'm like, I haven't seen any rabbits in my yard the last few months. I think the last time I saw a rabbit was potentially even last year. Maybe I saw one rabbit, but lately I have not this last spring I had hardly seen any rabbits. I usually see one be nestled like a year or so ago. There'd be one, at least one or two, hopping around, chasing each other. I haven't seen shit. Or a big one just sitting there nestled in the grass. I haven't seen any rabbits. And I'm thinking like, okay, what is up with that? Okay, so rabbits have a short lifespan. They have large litters. But now with these frequencies going on, the rabbits are being compromised where they can't even produce large litters. They can't even reproduce themselves. Remember, their lifespan is 1 to 9 years if they're wild and 8 to 13 years if they're domesticated. That's not a long time. And so the reason why they have such a short lifespan, because they say predators, getting hit by cars, I'm sure reproducing as well. But what do I mean by predators? Well, it's not just the natural predators. I mean, the dogs or cats or coyotes. But also, when you think about, well, yes, it is. I mean, you think disease, but that's so in that world, it's the natural predators of dogs, cats, and coyotes and cars. But then when I was making that assertion, then yes, women and men who produce a large litter of semen or a large litter of children or a large litter of orgasms, okay, because we know how sexual women are as well as men, that also depletes them. And so then I made that connection. Holy shit. And then there's the whole white rabbit, because everyone thinks that the old white rabbit and the Matrix and the rabbit holes and all the Illuminati and then going down the rabbit holes of what the elite are doing. So you're being so misdirected. What they're actually trying to tell you is every single woman and man have been modeled after a rabbit. Highly sexual, short lifespan, a large litter of children, celebrating the family and sexuality. And then now you get it with the whole Playboy and the Matrix, follow the white rabbit, the Peter Cottontail, Peter Rabbit, Bugs Bunny, okay? All the whole rabbit stuff. Yeah, now you get that what you were modeled after was basically an animal. So that's why I'm like, okay, now mothers and fathers, if you even get where I'm coming from, if you choose to, would you really want to match your daughter and sons to any of these? Thank you, Jessica Rabbit. Yeah. Would you want to match your daughter and sons to any of these men and women out there who are going to cannibalize the shit out of your kid? Or your kid's going to be predatory against somebody else? But how do you intervene when it comes to hormones and influence of peers? And of course, the parents are like wanting to fit in and be so traditional and fit in, get social capital and get accolades and all that shit that goes on out there. So I know that there's no way for me to actually think that I'm going to convert anyone who is so addicted to the social capital and wanting to fit in with their peers. But then this is your life. This is a matter of life and death. Not only for you parents, but also for your kids. Your kids may not at all, they may be too far gone. It's not going to matter. The train left the station. But the parents who already have a built up infrastructure because they have weathered the storms at least the last 40 years. Okay? 30 years. Anyone that's having a kid at 20, well, that's done with. Forget it. They're already too far gone. Because they have to raise that kid and go through that system, and they also are influenced by their millennial peers who are too fucking far gone. So it's the Gen X, when you think about it. It's the Gen X, maybe the boomers, if they're not too far gone. Definitely not the silent gens, because they're too far gone. But maybe some millennials, maybe. Because the older millennials maybe might have a chance. The younger ones, yeah, I don't see it. And obviously the alpha or the beta, that's so. When you think about then the 10 plagues, now I'm jumping around a bit, but if you think about the 10 plagues, and I was thinking about the firstborn, how did God, right, when he was going over, the angel of death going over all of the houses over there in Egypt, when you think about the story, how do they differentiate between the firstborn, secondborn, thirdborn? And I realize this, again, it's allegory, it's not literal. What's the firstborn? It's all relative, because everybody who's born is the firstborn in that time frame. No one is ever born at the same time. Even twins aren't born at the same time. One could be coming out right after the other. So a minute apart, a second apart or something. Okay? So then you're thinking like the firstborn is always the oldest. When you think about it, so right now we have grandmothers, matriarchs, or mothers who are dying suddenly or succumb to the disease that they have been managing for so many years and decide not to do the last Hail Mary. And we have the youngest, the weakest. I would say the youngest, even the weakest, because you could have 5 people in a family and the third child, who's not the firstborn, right, but firstborn in that time, dies. So it's the youngest and the oldest, and it's the weakest when you think about it. That's the firstborn as far as the 10 plagues. So right now we're experiencing 10 plagues. And then I also just wanted to make sure that you didn't think that the Jews ran the world and the whole 10 plagues based upon the Jews doing that. No, remember, we're in the Rosicrucian. That's why I put it in my book. I made sure that you knew it was the Rosicrucians who run the fucking world. And that's the Christian Gnostics, the Jewish mystics, the Hermetics, all the whole New Age shit, as well as then the Egyptian people, which is part of the Hermetics, Rosicrucian, same thing, and all the Greek mythology. So then that's all over academia. That's in every single religion. You know, I mean, when you think about even Hinduism and all that, that's all part of the Rosicrucian. It's aspects of it. I mean, Gnostics, Hermetics, yeah. Because even though they have their own different names and whatever, it's still part of the six cradle civilization that came out, you know, during the same times with each other. But I mean, that's why even the Georgia Guidestones had Sanskrit as a language. That's part of the Hindu world. When you think about the languages, let me see. The Georgia, I swear, Guidestones languages. Yeah, they were English, Russian, Mandarin, Chinese, Arabic, Hebrew, Hindi, Swahili, and Spanish. Okay, Swahili. I thought it was Sanskrit. Maybe not. But that's okay. Hindi. All right. Is that Sanskrit? Potentially. But yeah, so English, Russian. Okay, so we know Russian, Mandarin, Chinese, the Mandarin. Okay. Arabic, Hebrew, Hindi, Swahili, and Spanish. So why is it's only in those languages? Because those are going to be the common languages all over the world, and then we have the internet to translate. That's going to be a universal, living new language. Is the internet translating between English and Russian, Hebrew, Hindi, Swahili, Spanish, and Chinese, Mandarin? Okay, and so that ought to tell you. That that's who runs the world is the Rosicrucians. Okay, and then we have the dying of the firstborn. We already know the death of the firstborn, which is basically anyone that's weak. And you're watching people right now. I mean, I'm watching on my Facebook. You're saying there's 47 is dead. David Icky, whatever's daughter, who's 48, was battling some kind of cancer disease. She's passed away. Okay, 48 years old, 47 years old, 51 years old, 30 years old, and yeah, maybe 80 years old. People are fighting disease. People are dropping like flies, okay? This is when now, mothers, do you really think that you yourself need to be playing the same games that all your friends are playing with all your remedies and your diets and all your surgeries? I mean, I guess if you have to, then you're too far gone. There's no way. So, you know, don't watch me. But if you have a choice and you think that you can handle releasing that demon, because when I hang out with my husband, even for that one night, and no, we didn't have any Congress last night, because I'm like, no, once a week. That's all you're getting is once a fucking week. I'm not going to get cannibalized by you, and I'm not going to cannibalize you, but just even hanging out with him, just even being in the presence of him, I had to release that demon. So you can only imagine the kind of demons you parents must release in order to save yourselves. And there's no guarantee your kids are going to be able to do it. And so that's what you're up against. And in this environment, it's anyone's guess that they're going to even survive their own demons. I'm just glad my husband is a big dude. And so I said about this China stuff, heads up, remember the scale down. China will be our scapegoat. They have 1 billion expendable people they can use, 1 billion people. Obviously, we're outnumbered. You can't fight frequency. So you see these people who are like right-wing and they're pro-Trump, and God bless you, I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to save the world. You think Trump and the right wing is going to save you. No, you guys are the ones that the system is trying to figure out how to deal with you. And you're gonna be your own undoing because of your traditions. Obviously, all the different remedies, and then wanting your daughters to have so many children, forcing them into marriage, going through that process in this aggressive environment. People's demons are at their most horrific right now. People are crashing their cars. You can't fight frequency. You can only release those demons, eat food, and hopefully you survive it if you understand what it means to assimilate to frequency. People are like, oh yeah, everyone should vibrate at a higher frequency. Yeah, when you're like 90 pounds and you're vibrating at a higher frequency, it's called die suddenly. When you're skinny and you're 90 pounds and you're out there playing, with everybody, and you have that demon inside of you because you have now weaponized your own immune system against yourself because of all the remedies and the diets and the surgeries and everything else. And people are like, oh yeah, vibrate at a higher frequency. Yeah, okay, that's called died suddenly. But you see these people in the new age world are like, oh, everybody should vibrate at a higher frequency, and I'm going to go and leave my body because it's a temporary vessel, and I'm going to go off to Pleiades or some over the rainbow. And I'm like, okay, have fun. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being the one to sacrifice yourself. So you can't fight frequency, people. You can't fight it. You can't fight climate change. People in that movie, they're like, oh, well, no one's pulling the strings. What happens where nobody's in control? Okay, Obama. See, it might be true because when you're trying to stop people from bearing so many babies because you're harming the mother and also society when you have these kids who are unpurposed, who are wreaking havoc and just spending themselves out of existence, addicted to everything, right? You watch Idiocracy, what happens when you have so many kids. Then they just run, they take over. Okay? And so, if nobody is really in control, when you think about it, nobody is in control. Who are they talking about? Maybe it's the population. They're not in control. They need to be regulated. Versus saying that what's going on, nobody's in control. Yeah, somebody's in control. Because when you are doing the J world, you have to be in control of your body, of your systems. You have to be the one to know how to listen to indicators, know when to poop. I'll tell you, I wasn't expecting to poop as much as I did this morning, but holy crap, it was a lot. And I'm like, I didn't even eat that much yesterday. Okay, all I had was, when you think about it, all I had was really the meatloaf and some spaghetti, and that was it. I had a little bit of spaghetti. Because I did my Facebook Live, did whatever I did, and then that was it. Okay? So I was the one that first of all, I made sure I pooped this morning, but I didn't realize how much there had to be. So I'm like, okay. And that was a demon that I had to release, given that I was exposed to my husband. All right? And so you have to control you. So yeah, maybe you control yourself. But when you think about it out there, people aren't really in control of themselves. They're trying hard to be in control, but they're not. They're out there drinking, smoking, doing drugs, having lots of sex, showing their body to everybody. They're not in control. They are completely under the influence of the freaking demons that they hold inside that they have developed through their lifestyle, belief systems, and politics, religion, and science. And so you can't fight frequency. And really, nobody's really in control. So the system has to regulate, and so the system is. Everything is built into your infrastructure. All right, we think of my information, it's a higher frequency because I'm on every freaking day, and it's new information, so it's a new source of awareness that will cause you to think about stuff that you might have to reconsider, and that takes energy to do that. When you're just on automatic pilot, you just do what you do. But when you take it on new information or information that is new to you, yeah, it's a different frequency. So the system is telling you, curb your travel habits unless you absolutely have to. Prepare for infrastructure breakdown. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but anything is possible. So when those planes are crashing into the side of the beach and causing that big wave of water that decimated that flooded that house that in that movie, to that big ship beaching itself, to, so many, yeah. So the system is telling you, curb your travel habits unless you absolutely have to. Prepare for infrastructure breakdown. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but anything is possible. Just expect the unexpected. I always assume the worst. In my opinion, I would rather mentally and psychologically prepare. Regarding China, remember the one-child policy and the family naturally kept the boys around, discarded the girls, and used them as slaves? Yeah. They have now a huge army. China has a huge army of men. Huge. I'm not saying boots are going to come into the ground, but they have a lot of men. And a lot of men with brains that have been programmed to be a certain way. And yeah. And so China will be the world's policeman. When you think about it, they have 1 billion people. So many men. Right now, the world is playing a game of chess with each other. And you're the pawn, so you better know your place. And so when you think about it, you think you're going to save the world when the right-wing guys, and even the left-wing, but when the right-wing men and women think they're going to save the world from the frequencies, you in what army? Do you realize what happened January 6th? People that were like so full of for Trump, they were so emotional. They weren't thinking logical, and they tried to go do something that was against the law. That's why you have the Constitution, the law and order. But they're like, oh, well, somebody compromised it. And what is it? Beware of foreign entanglements and beware of this. And someone, we have the right, we Second Amendment and all that stuff. Okay. See, was the system prepared for people to have that kind of mentality that they think something is taking over and potentially could even be true? But what the fuck are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? That was then, this is now. And that was a storyline that was given to us to keep us in line, to study our behaviors around patriotism and nationalism. And you think about what was going on in 1945, that was nationalism. And you saw the genocide of people that didn't even have a choice. Right now, you're being given a choice. You're allowed to have your arms. They're trying to say, well, not the high capacity, because you see what happens. But again, how do you control that? So you let it play out. And it is. That's why I'm staying out of the public square. Because there are people who are mentally ill, who have high capacity magazines, and you don't know what they're going to do and who they're going to do it to. And so I just stay out of people's way. I don't go and tempt fate like that. Right? But I wasn't the one that started all this. I'm just going like, holy crap. Story's changing. Okay? You can still have America and have those traditions. But what does America actually mean? America is evolution. It always has been. Even back in 1776, it was an evolution from England. And then it evolved. 1776, there's 1876, 100 years later, now you have the Civil War. Not exactly. And then 1776 to 1870, it's 100 years. 1876 to 1976. Okay? It's not that long. 100 years in between each major. Yeah. It's all evolution, revolution, evolution. Nothing was ever meant to stay exactly the same. And yeah, the Constitution is a living document because it has all the different amendments. If it was supposed to be like cured, then you wouldn't have the amendments. But then the amendments are what is the evolution. The adding and subtracting and even clarifying. Because some things are ambiguous, left to interpretation. I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but the amendments tell you everything. The amendments of the Constitution tell you that it's a living document. And things can be added and they can be taken away. And that's how you have to look at even your immune system, even your culture, your politics, your religion, and your science. Is that sometimes things need to disappear and be released, and some things need to be taken on. Okay? And so then I was remembering that movie Idiocracy. Oh my God. I showed that to my husband. That first 4 minutes, the introduction, which tells you everything. And when I was watching that last night before I picked him up, I was just laughing so freaking hard. I was so laughing. Because when you think about it, my husband and I are exactly the opposite. I come from a point of view where not to have so many children, right? The left, right? And I'm coming here into an area where people have a lot of children. I didn't realize that was kind of the mentality, how they split them up. And then, shit. And so I showed him that, and I'm like, Jason, look. And I was just laughing. I just laugh now because the way his face was, and I was showing him that, now that we have context to work from, and that guy Cleavon, God. And you see that kind of mentality all over different families, okay? And so you see the two coasts that are like the conservative couple that wants to think about having kids, not just have kids, but think about it and plan carefully. And you see how they are, and then you see the other side of it. Some people in a different area who happen to just have kids willy-nilly. And I'm just like, Jason, look at this. And I just couldn't help but laugh. I was just laughing so hard. And I'm sorry. And he was trying not to say anything. I didn't know what he was thinking. Oh my God. And so anyways, I'm sorry, but I'm laughing now because I'm thinking about last night. And so there you have it. And I was laughing, right? Women and men need to regain their substance and intelligence so that way the future generations don't become completely cavemen or not even survive. Hey, right-wing traditionalists, give your daughters a chance. Don't push her into marriage or having children. Don't turn her into someone who produces a litter of kids so you get social capital. You're taking away her life force. Hey, left-wing sexualized people, because I'm trying to be equal now, right? Maybe you should keep your sperm and eggs and sexual juices to yourself to gain more intelligence and, yes, more life force. Once you actually get your life back, you'll be more responsible with your cells in your body and your bank account. You won't be spending so much freaking money, right? And maybe life won't be so as disposable as it is right now, because right now people think life is disposable and they behave as such. And so watch that first for me. And so, yeah, there's a lot of accidents in our town. It's pretty crazy. So then when I was thinking about litter, like a litter of children, because I was thinking about girls that have like 5 or 6 kids, 10 kids, 20 kids. You're like, Jesus. So litter of children, litter of puppies. And I see people on Facebook. Oh, look how cute this animal is. Like, look, this is a new type of animal. And they're just breeding the shit out of it, right? And they're posting all over Facebook. Like, hey, look, why don't you buy this animal? So they're trafficking animals on Facebook, trafficking children on Facebook because they're showing their kid. Oh, look, my kid's so cute. Oh, look, my daughter's so hot. Oh, look, my son's so beautiful, right? And so litter of children, litter of puppies, kitty litter. I'm thinking like kitty litter is not full of shit. Kitty litter is stuff that you go and look for little poop balls and little clumps of urine. It smells like ammonia. Don't throw litter on the ground. Do you see a pattern here? Do you understand what's going on? Litter, rally, literally. Litter is disposable. When you're breeding a litter of puppies and kitties, you're basically making them disposable. When you're breeding children who have no intention, you have no intention to keep alive because you profess to end up dead someday, Mom. But in the meantime, you're going to sell your daughters and sons and animals on the open market to the highest bidder. Yeah, you think your life is disposable. You think life is disposable. Essentially, that is human and animal trafficking through the family. And so they are disposable to you. Right now, our society is living on litter. Litter of children, animals, and garbage in our basement. And so the system is now cleaning up all the freaking litter out there. Because the system developed it, and then you bought into it, and then when the system wanted to change, you resisted. Remember Idiocracy? Maybe watch it again. After reading about my rabbit theory regarding large litters of children, short lifespans, and then the breakdown of our society as people's bodies are breaking down from so much rampant reproduction and heavy sexuality. So Mike Judge, man, there's Beavis and Butthead. Remember that? Beavis and Butthead. Remember Daria? Remember that from MTV? Yeah, Idiocracy. Fucking phenomenal. And then, yo, my God. So I didn't realize this 80s song was so like on point. And I point out a few bars, so I'm going to read the whole thing. So I even read it to my husband this morning. He actually listened. Usually he's like, oh, okay, Jesus, John, every fucking day, he plays with me. But he actually listened to me this morning because after watching Leave the World Behind last night and all of that, and he knows shit's going on, but finally he gets it. Finally he gets it. To what extent he gets it? Well, we'll see. So I said, married with lack of vision, that's part of the bars in that song. Turn your back on Mother Nature, all for freedom and for pleasure. And so I said, was it worth it? Read the lyrics. I remember my mother once told me, if you seriously want to change, something, even the outcome. One must make behavioral changes. Belief is not enough. Not even making a declaration. Because people make declarations all the time, just like the New Year's resolutions. But if they don't biophysically change, not even just go on a diet, but actually biophysically change, it's not going to make a fucking difference. Religion and spirituality are based purely on belief, but not behavioral changes. And so I even see those like, oh, don't manifest that. Just sit in your intention. I believe everything will change, so therefore it will change. That's the freaking New Age movement. That's religion. You're like, here, read this scripture and everything is going to be wonderful. Or read this passage, everything's going to be wonderful. You know, as soon as you say this and say, okay, I'm going to be, you know, this, and this, now you have a path to salvation. I mean, are you serious? Religion and spirituality are based purely on belief, but not behavioral changes. Which is why the New Age movement and the religions are basically two sides of the same coin. Don't manifest something. It's already been manifested. You manifested a long fucking time ago because you didn't behavioral change. You made your declarations, but you still kept to the same thing. When I'm watching some of my Jilly Juice crowd who said, oh yeah, I've helped people with Jilly Juice, right? And they're still anti-V. They're still on the anti-V bandwagon. When they really should have been like, you know what? All the remedies, all the surgeries, all the therapies, everything, all the diets and the detoxes, and I gotta go organic. And then everything they've done, of course, in remedies, turning their own immune system against them, developing antibodies against them, they're not even mentioning that. Because remember, they're still into the whole, everything's about manifesting, or if you just sit in tension, everything's been great, everything's great, and they haven't changed a damn bit. They haven't behaviorally changed. They haven't really felt what it really feels like to actually suffer and realize what's going on. And so they are sitting in belief and religion, and then they're against like religion, like, you know, Christianity and something else. But then they have this whole thing of, oh yeah, we're going into a new higher ascension and new earth and all this other crap. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. So they say, if I just sit here and believe, everything will change. Yeah, okay, nothing's magic. Hello, McFly. Of course, not replace one addiction with the other, not replace one man for another, not replace one child for another. If one seriously wants to change the outcome of their trajectory, your behaviors around everything must change and potentially even go completely the opposite. When you're trying to take away pain, you feel the pain. When you're trying to, like, not eat the GMO, you eat the fucking GMO. Who's going to do that, right? So it's not something you can put off like Scarlett O'Hara did in Gone with the Wind. It starts today. It starts now. Tomorrow is already here. Yesterday was already done with. Today is just another version of tomorrow. And so then, Tears for Fears lyrics, okay? Welcome to your life. There's no turning back. Even while we sleep, we will find you. Acting on your best behavior. Turn your back on Mother Nature. Hello, hear that? Everybody wants to rule the world. It's my own design. It's my own remorse. Help me to decide. Help me make the most of freedom and of pleasure. Nothing ever lasts forever. Everybody wants to rule the world. There's a room where the light won't find you. Okay, what does that mean, huh? Holding hands while the walls come tumbling down. Okay, when they do, I'll be right behind you. So glad we've almost made it. So sad they had to fade it. Who's they? Who's fading what, right? So everybody wants to rule the world. I can't stand this indecision, married with a lack of vision. Why a high rate of divorce? Everybody wants to rule the world. Say that you'll never, 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 never need it. One headline, why believe it? Everybody wants to rule the world. All for freedom and for pleasure. Nothing ever lasts forever. Everybody wants to rule the world. And I usually don't go through all those lyrics like that, but that was so freaking poignant because I remember thinking about the leave the world behind, and I'm thinking about the rabbit stuff and how the system modeled every human out there as a rabbit, highly sexual, because the whole Playboy and the 1960s and the 70s and the 80s. And I'm thinking, this is your life. Welcome to your fucking life. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, that song. Welcome to your life. I'm thinking, what song is that? And I'm Googling what those bars, those lyrics, what song is that? And then I saw one song that said that, but that wasn't the song. And I was like, no, it's the 80s song. And I've been listening to 80s songs for the last lot of years. So that was so freaking perfect. And so, yeah, when the system finally tells you what's going on in an indirect way called Leave the World Behind, giving you a loophole, so you're like, oh, that's just a movie. It's all make-believe, right? So you don't have to be stuck with one truth. So you have another storyline to go by. It's already too late. When the system is telling you. See, now the system, even IFL science is now turning to the point of, hey, what did Nostradamus project or prophesize for 2024? And then you're seeing the whole China and cybersecurity and how Hitler came to power and all this other shit. And I'm like, and people are like, I miss the days when IFL science was talking about science, not this other shit that they're talking about. And I'm like, they're trying to fucking tell you. Now their system is trying to tell you now that it's happening this next year. All bets are off. And so I said, Stevie J, you hit the nail on the head. You're seeing a promotion of what's to come. Because she was saying that, yeah, eat your popcorn. And so not only are we starring in the movie, she was saying, we the poppin' corn. Yeah, die suddenly, pop suddenly, die suddenly. Yep. She gets it too. Yep. And so what do I say about that? Yeah. Oh, Lordy. When the system has control over electricity, frequencies, those electric cars are useless. Animals and humans are also influenced by frequencies and, yes, electricity. When the climate changes, everything glitches. Even electric cars, they glitch. I wouldn't be doing anything as far as mass transit next year. I really wouldn't. My husband is in mass transit, but he drives a truck, and he pretty much he knows how to deal with that. He's street smart. And so he's seen some shitty stuff out there. I've seen some pretty crazy stuff when I was on the road with him. So even electric cars. So my husband's a professional driver. He can handle himself. But I would not trust anything electric out there, and I would not trust to put my life in somebody else's hands. So the press of this movie is really aggressive, extremely aggressive. They are warning you. I've been warning you, but hey, I'm just stupid Jillian. I said I wasn't going to warn you, but it's going to fall, because it's going to fall on deaf ears. Anyways, right now I'm just warning myself, like confirming to myself, to my little microbes. We're going to live conservatively. And so, because I have no guarantee anyone's going to read this. And I'm not targeting this towards anyone specifically. I'm just airing out my frustrations. Why are you frustrated, Jillian? Well, I'm actually not. Part of me is taking a little bit of pleasure because I've suffered the last 7 years. Yeah, even the last 49 years of people just saying I'm stupid and I'm unstable or I'm whatever. Or Jillian is stupid or whatever. I don't know. So then that pleasure is very short-lived because there are real people involved right now. And it's not looking good for a lot of people. Okay, but yeah, part of me is just like, dude, it's a little bit of vindication. Like, I feel like I've been vindicated. Like, completely. I've been vindicated. But it's not going to make me feel any better, really, when you think about it. Because there are real people who I do care about that it's gonna be questionable how they're going to survive this. And so when I've distanced myself from a lot of different people for so many reasons, okay, or I've accepted the fate and the future of some people that I know, and it's just a matter of time. I mourned a long time ago, actually back in 2011, yeah, when I discovered the Alex Jones world. I mourned for the old world. I actually was very devastated listening to the Alex Jones world. Because I knew once we got into a different truth, there goes everything. Now everything's on the table. I had to consider everything. And so I already mourned the death of the old world. Now it's just dealing with each individual person. And so if I haven't talked to someone in 5 years, when someone that's close to me passed away not too long ago, I mean, I didn't cry so much like I probably did with some other people that died, because I finally figured out that this is going to happen. And the less that I am dependent on somebody else's energy to give me life, then when shit does hit the fan and they're not around anymore, well, they weren't around for a long ass time. So there's nothing to really mourn. It's to be sad. But it's not going to tear me up inside. Because that already happened 12 years ago. And so I did that reel. Oh yeah, the Peter Rabbit. The system modeled your whole family and the women and the men after this little guy. Follow the White Rabbit, Peter Rabbit, Brer Rabbit, and even Playboy Bunny. Short life, large litters, easily expendable, and highly sexual. Follow the White Rabbit and the Playboy Bunny was the symbols. Yeah, the Matrix was telling you. So I know Keanu Reeves, he's a nice guy, gentleman, but he's all part of this too. He's a nice guy, plays that part of the nice, gentle bunny. Large litters, highly sexual, easily expendable, short life. So that's why you try not to encourage your daughters to have a bunch of children. But you know how people are. They're so resistant and they don't care. They have to stick with their traditions. They need the social capital. Their children are the pawns in their own game of greed. That's what sucks, is some of these parents are so greedy for social capital that they will sacrifice their own sons and daughters to get that social capital. They will, and even their grandchildren, they will suck the life out of their own grandchildren because they need the social capital. And I'm not trying to be a bitch, but that's kind of how shit works. Okay? And people are that desperate. So I said before, you hate me for saying it, right? Remember, I tried to warn you the last 7 years what was going on. And many of you made fun of me, rejected me. Many said I was stupid. Told your sons and daughters, don't ever listen to this stupid person. Some of you taught your kids to hate me. The system was showing you and showing me just how intolerant this world is. Some of you will have a chance to redirect. Others, it's too late. And I really did try. And I knew the medical and holistic system was working against all of us, you and me. And so people were like, well, we should collaborate with the holistic people. We should collaborate. I've had people that were next to me saying, we should collaborate. And people, even in the holistic system that I was working with, were trying to get me to collaborate with them in the holistic system. And I'm just like, no. No. And at first I did consider that maybe there is a reason. I mean, there is a reason why they exist, yes. But especially the surgical system, because people have these demons that they've developed through the medical, holistic, energy healing world. They have to be surgically taken out. I mean, they don't have to be, but yeah, it got too late. They have these big growths, basically a possession, the body working against it, because they developed it through the remedy system. But again, I'm not trying to advocate that it's okay in my world to develop that type of situation where a person now has to do a Hail Mary of butchering themselves in order to live, whatever the hell that means. There is no collaboration between me and the medical system or the holistic system. It is very black and white. Because my protocol, which is not doing the J juice anymore, you don't really need, I mean, you can do a few shots, whatever, every so often, but even then you don't even need to. You don't even need to. Because the environment's going to activate your immune system. You need the salt in your food, salting in. But the whole salting out back then was to activate your immune system because people were so on low sodium diets, completely salt deficient for a reason. Because now this environment is so ionic that, yeah, you need to salt your food, but it's going to activate your immune system. You're going to shit. You're gonna have pain. You're gonna have all these different things happen. Okay? And so now you have to pull out the crap. Now you have to rest and try not to use so many remedies out there. I can't say get off of your drugs and alcohol and sex cold turkey, because if you have an addiction, that's obviously you can't do anything cold turkey. Everything's a transition. But no, I'm not going to collaborate with anyone out there developing demons in people against themselves. I'm not going to do that. There's no way I could do that. No way I could actually feel like I'm being authentic in my world and say, yeah, go ahead and take all your supplements and drugs and alcohol and sex and whatever and take on those demons that you're going to have to release anyways. And oh my God. And so yeah, there's no collaboration. There's no way I could do that. There's no fucking way. And so that's why I'm by myself, working with nobody except for my husband. And now you know why Instagram and OnlyFans and YouTube always has hot chicks showing you everything. So men and women, non-binaries, blow their load on them, their bank account, as well as their body, which is why also marriage is so encouraged, as well as having a boyfriend or a girlfriend. You must have consent to blow your load and to take your life away systematically. Consent through sexuality, through your husband, your wife, your husband, or through the medical holistic energy healing world. Through all the licensed professionals who are managing your demise as humanely as possible. Everyone right now is blowing their load on each other. Oh, the system knew exactly what the heck they were doing. That's why the porn industry is $1 trillion industry. So many men and women who are willing to drain their bank accounts and their life force because they have addictions to sex, drugs, rock and roll, and hot chicks and hot men. And then they will die suddenly when there's nothing left and they are spent. Oh, I guess they had a great life, we all assume. Remember the obituaries? They said died peacefully, surrounded by friends and family. And I'm like, I just bet they were. But nowadays, people who die suddenly are dying in a group of strangers. They collapsed at work. They collapsed on the road. They died while they're driving behind the wheel. Surrounded by strangers, not even by friends and family, surrounded by strangers. It's those who are managing sickness being taken down through the medical holistic energy healing world, and their friends and family are the ones that are dying peacefully, surrounded by friends and family. But now with all these died suddenly, it doesn't matter. They'll die in the middle of a fucking mall. Remember back in the 2020 when the pandemic was so new, and then we're watching China and watching those people just, they're cleaning up bodies everywhere. Yeah, they're not surrounded by friends and family. They didn't die peacefully. They died around strangers. And so then I said, given rabbits have so many predators and are highly sexual, we have 1 to 9 years to cull the masses. The lifespan of a wild rabbit. So when you're around your friends and family and they have all these different little demons, or their antibodies now are antigen to you, those are the predators that are going to attack you. The system activated all those little predators in people's bodies, the Pandora's box. And when you're out there in the public, breathing all of that in, and your immune system has been activated, those are basically the predators that these rabbits are dealing with, as far as coyotes, cars, and cats and dogs. So we have 1 to 9 years, or 8 to 13 years to cull the masses. The lifespan of a wild rabbit, 1 to 9 years, 8 to 13 years. We've only just begun. Remember the Karen Carpenter, the Carpenters? We've only just begun. I dare the panel of men who aim to save you from the New World Order will even mention this. Can I see Andrew Tate mention this, as far as not subjecting girls to be with men or have a bunch of children? Can I see Elon Musk mention not getting girls pregnant, as he has pregnant so many women? Will I see Patrick Bet-David talk about not promoting so much family, so these girls are being enslaved through the tradition of having babies and being married to someone who might have some pretty aggressive sexual needs in the bedroom, that she might be enduring some pretty horrific stuff? Can I see any of these men even think about mentioning this? They won't fucking touch this. They'll blame the liberals. but they will never even touch what they have promoted in their own world. Remember, women are supposed to be burying like digging a hole, or burying, B-E-A-R-Y-B-E-A-R-I-N-G, many babies. Barefoot and pregnant and highly sexual too, right? They want a freak in the sheets and a lady in the streets. That's exactly what a lot of these right-wing men want, as well as left-wing too. Oh, I listen to some of these right-wing channels, and you hear these fathers say they expect their daughters to get married and have a bunch of grandchildren. There's these two gentlemen who are really right-wing, and they're both African-American, and they're twins. My husband was listening to them. That's why I was listening to them, because my husband was listening to them. And my husband, he kind of teeters on that side of the world, and I'm okay with it. It gives me an insight to the right-wing people when I'm living with a right-wing guy who is very traditional. But they were saying, yeah, I want my daughters to have, a bunch of kids. I expect her to have children. I expect her to have. I'm like, are you serious? You're the one, you're going to be in control of your daughter's uterus? That's what the system is trying to fight against, is having men control their own daughter's uterus and who she gets with. The right-wing men will not dare touch this information. The left wing doesn't even know what to say. And so again, I'm into an island all on my own yet again. Because both sides don't even know what the hell to say except to blame each other and, of course, smother you with their viscous, mucusy love. Completely distracted in the blame game. All by design, as their bodies and their kids' bodies are falling apart. And the movie that just came out was just in time to let you know it's too fucking late. And so then I was like, oh shit. So even the sexual revolution for the women back in the 1960s was a load of bullshit. Because then you had, Gloria Steinem go and try to infiltrate Playboy. Okay, I get it. But she's still advocating that women go and have sex with everybody. Now she is sexually free. She can do whatever the hell she wants. Yeah, it's a load of bullshit. They're no different than the traditional family. The sexual revolution and the drug revolution was all about culling the masses through pleasure, sexuality, and family, and playing them off each other. Playing both sides. So even the women in the 1960s were duped into thinking that that's was going to be good for women, was to be sexually free. Yeah, she'll be used as a pawn for these guys to target her. And be given so much wealth and money to spend herself out of existence, all through pleasure, right? And so women, every single time you must get off and also have a load of children, you age yourself and your body starts falling apart. And what's funny was Mike was saying, I don't know whether I'm turned on or horrified. This is one of my husband's coworkers. And I said, horrifically turned on. And he was like, you laughing. And so, man, every single time you blow your load, you blow a liter of your own life force and you age yourself and you also start falling apart. Okay? And so, yeah, even Easter. So what was in that Cadbury egg that has all that yellow and white shit coming out of that? Oh my God. Jeez. Yeah, that's nasty. The system promoted a big family because it takes years off of everybody's life, everybody in that family, especially the mother. And so, yeah, you want to be right-wing and so traditional, forcing your daughters to get married and have a bunch of children. Even left-wing people who must have a lot of sex, developing so much offspring. She and he will have a short lifespan. There's something for everybody. So even in the LGBTQ community, when they're having so much sex, whether it's male or female, male, female, you're sucking the life out of each other. And you're taking on entities that are cannibalizing the shit out of you, literally. I don't care where you get the deposit done into, you're now being cannibalized. And if your immune system is already working against you, those little microbes, those little proton torpedoes called sperm that enter into whatever cavities that are being deposited in, they're eating you out from the inside. And when you're releasing it, yeah, you're releasing yourself. And so I showed you those screenshots of what Audrey and I were saying, because sometimes when I don't think of this stuff until I'm in conversation with somebody, whether it's Audrey or John or anyone else, or Stevie or Pip, okay? When I'm back and forth, it jogs the brain and they start making connections. That's energy. That's new neural pathways that I developed, Audrey helped me develop in that situation. And that's why I put both her and John in my book as far as acknowledgments, because it was the back and forth that developed those new neural pathways. And that's what it takes. It takes discuss. That's why I talk and do Facebook Lives every day, because the evolution and the connections happen faster because of the energy expended, and I support it with food. Okay? And I release the demons. I gotta pee. Uh-huh. All right. So I posted the 10 plagues of Egypt and Exodus. So right now, the system is borrowing from the Old Testament, the Rosicrucians. It's not the Jews that run the world. No, no, no. It's the Rosicrucians. It's a compilation of so many different beliefs that run the world. And so the Exodus 7 to 12, the 10 plagues of Egypt, water turned to blood or iron, infestation of frogs, amphibians, influx of gnats, okay, masses of flies, yeah, because there's a lot of death, livestock death, outbreak of boils or mycoplasma, pounding hailstorms, okay, we're watching that all over the world, swarms of locusts, overwhelming darkness, okay, blackouts, and then death of the firstborn. Now, that can be left up to interpretation. You can take it literally and be like, oh, the firstborn, or you can be like, well, everyone's firstborn in the time that they were born in, because no one is exactly born at the same time, even twins. So then you're taking this, okay, so the oldest to the youngest or the weakest in both adults and children. So then do not assume because I post this, what currently is going on is because of the Jewish people or even Israel. The system wants you to scapegoat them yet again, and people can't wait to do so. Just watch everyone out there completely slamming the Jewish people as well as slamming Israel. That's what the system talks about, anti-Semitism. When you're given the opportunity to slam a culture that you've already been trained to slam for whatever reason, they see exactly what your intentions are and what you choose to believe, what you choose to slam. Especially when I've written a book where it says the Rosicrucians are the Jewish mystics, the Christian Gnostics, the Hermetics, Egypt, and Greek, right? So the order, the Rosicrucian order, borrows from all different religions and schools of thought. How do the system differentiate between the firstborn and the secondborn? The firstborn are always the oldest and the youngest. You, your parents, grandparents, your grandbaby, or child. Anyone that's born in the firstborn is the firstborn in that moment. Nobody is born exactly the same time. We all are firstborn. So it's the weakest child and the adult. Everything is relative. And so the firstborn could be an adult or child who can't handle the environment. Now look at all the diet suddenlies out there. Okay? And so I told you the frequencies. Yeah. People are like, don't watch it because it'll manifest it. It's already been manifesting. It's if you want to be ignorant about what's going on, that's fine. And so then when you die suddenly, there's no suffering, everybody fucking wins. So there you go. The people that don't want to know what's going on, they would rather just die suddenly and not suffer. And then that will be a welcome thing for their friends and family. And so, yeah, the system knows every single frequency, every single human animal frequency that lives on and runs on. All right? And so the public is now the pubic region. incubating diseases, and you are breathing all of it in. Everything is in plain sight. And so I hope you get stronger from the public pubic incubation of disease, not weaker. And so I only take in what is necessary, and then I go home. And then when my husband comes home, then I have to release those demons. Either the next morning, I was tired last night because, yes, I took on so much of his demon, not because we had sex, because he was just breathing on me. We hung out together. That just even being in the presence of someone would take on their demons. So I'm not going to be releasing, I release that baby of disease. I'm not going to be incubating any diseases. And so, feed the beast, the allegory. Releasing the beast is not for the faint of heart. Then it becomes beauty and the beast, taming the beast. People worship the programmed beast inside. Sports, which is also why domestic violence is prevalent when men are programmed to be offenders in sports, and even women, on defense or defenders in war or law enforcement, sometimes in offense, like the George Floyd situation. And so irony is I live right down the street from the Football Hall of Fame. And so, sports does cultivate beast mode. War. And I'm not knocking sports because I was also a warrior. So I was playing soccer, as a defender versus an offense. Okay? And so if you're playing that game of cultivating the beast mode in yourself and other people, then the environment will destroy you. The religion of religion and politics, sports, and athletics have built in a remedies system along with food fears and pain, as well as pain mitigation protocols. So the system is changing, which is why so many people are dying suddenly. The poles have shifted aggressively. Climate change equals pole flips. If you do not change, the winners will become losers and the losers will become winners. People thought I was a loser the last 49 years, and now all the winners in the old world are dying suddenly. I was programmed for the new world, not the old world. I suffer from the lack of acceptance, but that was also my saving grace. Because if I would have went to college and got the degree, if I was accepted in all these groups and got married to some, whatever person, I would be down that rabbit hole and done with. I would have been dead by now. And so I suffered from the lack of acceptance, but also that was my saving grace. As I'm acclimating to this new environment, many athletes and pretty people and influencers are dropping like flies, even some of my haters. I tried to warn the world, not that it did me any good, except to help me survive and clarify a few misconceptions. I was never meant to save any of you. All of us were and are in a domestic violence situation with our own immune systems. I was too, until I completely did the opposite of what the world is doing right now. However, not everyone can do what I'm doing. Some are too far gone. And they need their friends and family for a company or to blame. And so I do what I do so no one mischaracterizes me or my info. And I do what I do so I understand the motives and the reasons behind people's actions and behaviors. And I remember wondering in the past, what was the reason behind serial killers? Now I know. Mostly men, some abuse women, full of trapped antibodies, shown images of violence, thrashed by their parents or someone in authority looking for the enemy, or opportunistic in their searches for satisfaction and violent outlet. I mean, there were women that were killing people through chemistry, even back in the 1800s. Because, but why do they show only men? Because they've now bred women to be, because it's the violence. They're shown violence. Okay, I don't know why they see mostly men, but women can be, especially back then. There's a woman that she killed her roommates. She took their money and killed them. All right? But why are they not made to be famous? Because I don't understand. Which is why it is dangerous in this environment to have children, because what are you breeding? Future serial killers looking for a sexual outlet who look good on paper? Which is why it is dangerous to marry your daughters off to some of these boys out there. Yes, you have no idea what they have seen or experienced, but you could have a clue once you explore the mother's background and the father's violent tendencies. And that goes for both men and women, as the sexual orientations become outlets for violence. Okay? And so learn words so you do not use your fists or drugs or liquor. Okay, so developing an enemy called cancer in your body happens in a three-step process. Exposure to antigen or the public, your family and pets, 1. And then primary antibodies. So 2, primary antibodies develop and the body wants to push them out, called pain. And then 3, people are not conditioned for pain, so they use remedies. And remedies have a 2-pronged approach. They trap the antibodies inside, called pain mitigation. And so then it develops antibodies attacking one's immune system, thus developing secondary antibodies against you, called disease and cancer. Okay? So that 3-prong approach is exposure antigen. You develop antibodies. You don't want to feel the pain. So you take antibiotics. You trap it inside. And then those antibodies from those antibiotics then are pissed off at you and they attack you. And so the system must develop another therapy or antigen to attack the antibodies attacking you. But the pain of release is so much, the person takes another therapy, trapping those antibodies in. So now we have people with hundreds of antibodies working against them. That's called the aging process. We did it to ourselves. So let me say this once more, okay? So you get exposed to an antigen. I go outside. I get exposed to people, places, and things and animals. I develop antibodies. And so those antibodies are like, okay, they're in the macrophages. But then if I'm not releasing, because it's too painful, right? Then those macrophages are allowing those antibodies inside to develop, replicate, and then they actually turn into against the person. Because remember, your body, when you're taking, okay, hold on. Yeah. So yeah, they're stuck in your body. They get converted, and then you're taking something to stop the pain from doing that. And so then the body is now training itself to now switch the gun back on you. So let me try this again. Let me say this again. All right. So you get exposed to antigen, animals and humans and whatever. Your body develops antibodies. Okay. And those antibodies want to leave the body and you have pain. It triggers other stuff. You have pain. You stop the pain with remedies. Those remedies then switch into antibodies because now you're attacking your body. Your body develops a defense system against that, and then converts those things inside the macrophages to then work against you. And so that's why people age out and they're holding on so many things. And so, yeah, the system developing secondary antibodies against you called disease. And then you get another antibody developed through another therapy because you're now attacking those things that you kept inside. And then now you have a compound interest of antibodies working against you. And so before you point the finger, look at your socializing lifestyle and ways to remedy disease, even using my juice to cure the poop in your body. And then listening to starvation gurus who starve you from food. You did it. We did it to ourselves. If we develop the enemy against us, we must now convert our immune system to work for us. There is no enemy or hero out there. I don't worship a person, place, or thing. There are no women or men who are the ultimate prototype. We have people who are just programmed to take your ass down. If you want to live, you have to see through the psychological programming of giving you someone to worship, some ultimate male or female. No, they are distractions. There are no ultimate males or females, just people used as a tool for the system until you wake your ass up. Okay? Delete. And so, God, all these people that are like, ugh. Delete. Okay. Oh my God. These people that spam stuff. Wow. All their herbal bullshit. They're like, what the hell is going on? All right. And so germline cells and its cabinet of somatic cells all have different programming, but you as a host must be the one to program the germline cells and the somatic cells to keep working for you, not against you. However, your practices in the medical and holistic world, energy healing world, have programmed the cultures of germline somatic cells to work against you, not for you. Hence, not only the aging process, but also the diet suddenlies and the diagnosable conditions, all with your permission. And so no one forced that herb or root or OTC or drug in your body. You did it. You starved yourself and you took the remedies and you said all food was poison. It was you. Okay? So it is not the system programming your immune system to attack you. You programmed your immune system to attack you. It was all you. That's why the system is censoring you from blaming somebody else. That's why the system has been censoring people from blaming the V's, from saying that they have an ultimate remedy for the COVID. No, you don't. People don't have what it takes to actually convert their immune system to work for them, not against them. And so that's why you're seeing the system censor people, and why people are resisting so hard. They're resisting themselves. They're aging out, they're skinny, or they're so obese, or they're so skinny, highly religious. And when you're so highly religious, there's always going to be you as a savior, because your religion's going to save you, as well as then there's an enemy. That was programmed into you. And so how do you still keep your religion and save yourself without using your religion and your energy healing practices and try to save? You can't. You're stuck. And so that's why we have a lot of people who claim to be all these different gurus in whatever manners, because they're stuck. And they're finding absolution. Some people are too far gone. They can't get ahead of this. I so hoped they could. But I can't be the one to determine. And people are so in their world. They're so stuck in their world. And they have people around them that have supported this world for such a long time. How do you reteach people how to deal with you? How do you reteach the world how to give you space and time? How to allow you to feel pain and eat all food? How do you... I don't know if you can be a religious person or a spiritual person and do my world at the same time. I don't know if that's even possible. I don't know. Remember, I was raised Jewish, but I remember Rosicrucian. I'm not saying I'm even Rosicrucian, but I understand that's the world I live in. It's Rosicrucian. I don't have a religion that I claim. I was raised Jewish, converted to it, but I don't claim it. I'm not putting the Israeli flag. I know the Israeli national anthem, but I don't put any flags of gangs or colors or religions. And I don't profess to be any guru, any witch, warlock, wizard. None of that. I don't put any kind of label on myself. I'm human. And I belong to a world called Rosicrucian, a compilation of almost everything that we ever talked about. That's it. I don't even want to say I'm female based upon what our social constructs, but what does that even mean, female? Okay, I have boobs and a vagina. That's pretty much it. Not very remarkable, is it? So I'm not special. And when people put labels on themselves as some kind of religion, some kind of guru, some kind of savior, or looking for a Satan, they think they're special. They think they're more special. That's not even really, you can't use those two together, but they think they're a lot more special than somebody else. When they put themselves in a religion, in a political thought process, in a scientific dogma, they think they have the answer and they are so much more special than somebody else. And when you think you're so much more special than somebody else, yeah, your belief system will do you in. Because you're not very special. And you realize that I don't know, people deify themselves. I'm not trying to be a deity. Because deities are martyrs for the system. That's where all the Greek mythology, that's where all the mythology comes from. Martyrs for the system. I don't want to be a martyr for the system. I don't want to be a martyr at all. I want to live. I don't pray to anyone. I don't want to pray to me. I'm not looking for a savior. I'm not trying to be a Satan. I'm not trying to look for absolution. I'm not going to sit in this intention and be like, okay, I'm going to manifest, everything be great. No, it's all behavioral changes. It's all behavioral changes. So, so that's why I don't mind if people hate me. I'll say what I say. I don't care if you hate me or not. I'd rather you not like me and keep your distance then worship me and then turn me into a fucking martyr. Because that's the people who want everyone to love them. They turn into a martyr. Everyone loved all these different people. And those people aren't around anymore because they were enveloped in that viscous web-like structure of love and devotion. And they don't survive their own following. They don't survive their friends or family, their following. They don't even survive their own protocols. And they have an absolution for it. They have a justification. They're going off into Pleiades or wherever. They're going to ascend to a higher dimension. Okay, good for you. Thank you. More food for me. More room for me. So just watch your Facebook. Watch your Facebook. It's very interesting watching what the 1960s developed. Because that's all right now, what you're seeing all over Facebook and the groups and the religions and the spiritual people and all that stuff was born from the 1960s. It was developed in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, but then it really realized itself and rolled out in the 1960s. And now we're watching it. It's extraordinary to watch. All right. I'm going to go. Bye.